What is something that is so unbelievable that it is believed to be the apocalypse? For some it's war, others it a cataclysmic phenomena. But for these folks, it was the black dust storms of no man's land. Throughout the country, there was an economic collapse sending everyone into a jobless and poverty-ridden world. It was hard to get resources for their high prices. Nevertheless, the prices would be the last thing to deal with. When the drought had started, water was scarce, as farmers were not getting the rain they needed to grow their crops and harvest for the food's nation. These would be the first waves of a great disaster. As soon as the crops started to decrease in their growth, farmers looked for solutions in how to harvest more crops. There was the bright idea to blow up more grasslands for the soil and acres of the land for farming, so their odds could increase. That would be their greatest mistake, for Mother Nature would return with her wrath. Days would come where winds dominated the lands, but it seemed to be an okay scenario. However, the winds would get stronger every day, and soon it began to pick up the dust. Before anyone could see it, the winds became storms and the storms became death. Farmers were having a hard time growing their crops, as the dust being picked up were covering the soil, killing a large amount of harvest from each farm. Soon the country will be suffering from the dust as it covered the majority of the United States. Now it's not just the plants being killed, but animals being found dead due to the dust storms polluting the air. As the dust storms traveled through towns, homes, cars would be covered, but on the inside the dust will find its way in homes, leaving dirt everywhere, making it hard for the folks to keep a clean house. Day after day, month after month, year after year, the issues only grew, and many left their homes and farms, business, for better conditions outside of no man's land. There are many that stayed and never gave up, that things would get better. Well, let's hope they prepared themselves for a long and terrible decade, as it will be the longest and deadly decade they will ever have. The storms were now expected every day, and breathing in the storms were fatal. Masks had to be worn outside as cars would not work properly, so people had to go on foot. Winds would push and pull the people to the ground and even taking them off roads. On the inside of houses, people were struggling with the fact that they were getting sick from breathing in all the dust. People were dying left and right, and children were really vulnerable to the dust's effect. Kids and adults alike were capturing pneumonia caused by the dust getting into their homes and entering their bodies. Doctors tried to help the best they could, but the depression made things even more difficult. Then one day, folks in no man's land had a beautiful day. It seemed as there was not going to be a dust storm that day, so towns used this day to clean and enjoy the sun and clear skies. But when there are distractions of joy and relief, the term irony takes its course of action. On that day, the lands will take on the biggest dust storm, covered in soil and black dust, getting ready to destroy anything in its path. When the people saw this monster, they quickly took cover, hoping that they will survive this devastation. When the dust covered the towns, all there was black. The sun was not even able to shine through, and the winds shook the buildings. All the townsfolk thought the world was ending, and so they prayed and waited or hoped that it would go away, that there is an end to this catastrophe. Then the dust settled after a long time of torment. The rain started to come back, and the people knew that the end of the world had passed. The cause of the dust bowl was found, and the farmers fixed the issues by converting to new and safer methods of farming. Now people could live like they once did before the storms and before the Great Depression.